is when you take an explanatory position of one discipline within the context of another. So we are approaching mental disorder from a cross-disciplinary, a multidisciplinary, and a transdisciplinary, and also an interdisciplinary perspective, which interdisciplinary falls within the category of where mutually exclusive disciplines sort of permeate each other to formulate new ideas or groundbreaking paradigms. So we're taking these approaches and we're exploring multiple disciplines simultaneously. We're looking at mental disorder from a philosophical perspective. We're looking at mental disorders from a psychological perspective. We're looking at mental disorders from a physics perspective. We're looking at mental disorders from a musical perspective, from a musical theoretical perspective. And we're also going to explore mental disorders from a linguistic perspective. We're also going to take the parapsychological phenomenon into consideration. We're going to take a psychopathological analysis. We're also going to take a pathophysiological analysis. We're also going to study mental disorders from a neurological and a cognitive analysis. And last but not least, we are also going to explore the miscellaneous aspect of mental disorder, where we're going to take a number of different variables or variances into consideration. Now, before we get into all these details, this lecture is primarily going to be more of an introduction to mental of conscious perception. Supraliminal is information that bypasses above the physiological threshold of conscious perception. Hyperliminal is a mixture of both, information that bypasses below the psychological threshold and above the physiological threshold. And then we have hypnosis. Hypnosis is basically, our brain oscillates in different brain waves. You have the alpha, beta, delta, and theta. Hypnosis is basically when the brain transitions from the alpha or the beta to the theta or the deep delta state, where all actions become involuntary, making the subject susceptible to outside influence.
Yeah, suggestion and all of that.
Suggestion, right. And then neuro-linguistic programming, often used interchangeably with natural language processing, because they both consist of the same abbreviation, NLP. Mm-hmm. But natural language processing is like a multidisciplinary discipline. It's a correlation between computer language and linguistic models. Now, neuro-linguistic programming basically is a correlation between neurological processes, linguistic models, behavioral patterns, and the human experience. So what do they all share in common? They are all capable, they are all a form of subliminal influence. Now, subliminal in and of itself is information that bypasses below the psychological threshold. So you may look at, let's say a prime example is a FedEx logo. But FedEx logo have like a sacred geometric shape ingrained in the logo. No, your conscious mind is incapable of seeing that, right?
Yeah, so there's a logo that you're looking at, mm-hmm. and you know that it says FedEx, right. But then there's also symbolism hidden in that,
right.
which communicates on a deeper level, and any kind of good logo will do that.
Yes.
It'll be recognized.
Where I approach mental disorder from 10 key areas. Philosophical analysis, psychological analysis, a physics analysis, a musical theoretical analysis, a linguistic analysis, parapsychological, psychopathological or pathophysiological, a neurological approach, and a geophysics approach. And it was basically a 1 hour discussion covering mental disorder from all these different disciplines. And today I would probably like to, maybe an extension of it, or possibly see whatever direction this goes in for them.
Sure, yeah, I'm down for that as well. I have worked with kids in the past that had autism, and I never saw a case, like I never saw 2 kids that ever had the same kind of symptoms or like anything resembling the other child that also had a diagnosis with autism, there's always something new. And so, like, do you have any theories on how this manifests in so many kids these days? Because it seems like statistically the numbers have been going up.
I would probably use the X-Men analogy, where it's quite conspicuous that there's some sort of biological evolution occurring with the X-Men, and no two gifts are identical, but it's clearly the X-Men. So from that perspective, what you find with not just neurotypicals but atypicals. Now, I'm not an expert in this area because my views are based from a self-referential, which is sort of subjective, and empirical analysis, psychological threshold. So you may look at, let's say a prime example is a FedEx logo. But FedEx logo have like a sacred geometric shape ingrained in the logo. No, your conscious mind is incapable of seeing that. Right.
Yeah, so there's a logo that you're looking at, and you know that it says FedEx. Right. But then there's also symbolism hidden in that, right, which communicates on a deeper level, and any kind of good logo will do that. Yes. It'll be recognizable to your conscious mind, but then it will also suggest to your subconscious what that company does, or some characteristic contained in that pictographic representation.
Yeah, but the fascinating phenomenon with subliminal influences is you're unaware of it. On a conscious level, you're unable to depict this. This is why they call it information that bypasses below the psychological. Subliminal or information that bypasses above the physiological threshold, so it's detectable. A prime example of subliminal below the psychological threshold is where you can play music. You could have music, and then you could insert or ingrain a lower level of dialogue in the song where you cannot perceive it consciously, but it's on a subconscious level. You could pick up on the dialogue, you could pick up on the information, and this can program your subconscious mind, right? So subliminal, you're incapable of perceiving it. Subliminal now is information that bypasses above the physiological threshold. So one example is a coffee shop may set the room at a very specific temperature to induce customers to do two things. The coldest is at a specific temperature to induce customers to continuously buy coffee or leave the coffee shop. Right. Right, yeah. Right. That's one example of subliminal. So you are aware of the code, but you're not aware how it's affecting you on a subconscious level. Another example of subliminal is you go into a wine bar and there's a specific type of music, ambience music, where they studied in cognitive neuroscience that has an effect on your mind. So you go into a wine bar and this specific type of ambience music induces you to make purchase. Right, so that's subliminal.
Yeah, it's relaxing to listen to. You want to stay for a while, and
I spent extensive time researching in terms of is this biological? Is this a biological predisposition, or are there environmental factors involved in terms of what induces this deep-seated level of compassion a person may have for someone else? So,
yeah, very interesting. What do you think? Kind of like a common theory is that like vaccines and the frequency and number of vaccines that children have progressively over time been made to take more of. Do you have any opinions on how that, if at all, might be affecting the frequency increase of spectrum cases?
There's a number of different controversies, conspiracies, speculations. I can't determine, I don't know in that sense. And one aspect of these areas I don't invest too much time through also is the epidemiology, the history of the evolution of how it emanated. My infatuation is more within the context of the metaphysical and the phenomenological aspect of mental disorder, because there's a specific type of atypicals or non-neurotypicals who have a sort of tapestry. There's a sort of interconnectivity they have with what we perceive as reality. So my infatuation is in that area itself. When you get into areas like existentialism and epistemology. One idea is solipsism, where a person goes into mania and they take on all these different sorts of philosophical approach. One idea of psychoanalysis and psychodynamics, which originated with Sigmund Freud, which is the one aspect is the whole idea of the relationship between the subconscious and the conscious. So I find these areas intriguing in terms of when a person's external stimulus, visual sarcasm. The concept of Mr. Pregnant is the perfect embodiment to materialize these ideas.
But I mean, it's at its core though, it's you without a shirt on, and you're saying like you're making up songs over like well-known backing tracks.
Yeah.
How do you reconcile the very philosophical part of you with also this really absurdist side? There's like what I'm trying to say is there's more than just two Adelstons. There's like an Atelston, Fitzgerald, the Halder. The first unit, it's like you have a lot of things going on.
Yeah, multi-dimensional. There's a disparity in my work. No two videos are the same. One may incorporate irony, sarcasm, absurdity, surrealism. I mean, it's a long list. A prime example is the video Big Girls Don't Cry. Right, that particular video encompasses at least 5 irony. You remember you have at least 5 primary ironies. You have dramatic, situational, verbal, tragic, and Socratic, which we will explore in more details if you would like to know. But Big Girls Don't Cry is a 370-pound individual at that given point in time crying. Situational irony is a male crying. Situational irony too is this stereotypically African American, supposedly aggressive individual, but he's crying again. So it encompasses at least 4 or 5 different sorts of situational irony and verbal irony, because the fact that I'm crying is a verbal aspect of the video. So invariably it'll go viral. Now, how do we deal with the philosophical aspect of it? It's less philosophy and it's more exploring linguistic devices, taking these abstract concepts and materializing them. And a lot of these things were done inadvertently. And by me learning more and acquiring more information, I got a sense of awareness of what I was doing.
So you think your work is pretty calculated then?
Dropbox facilitates that platform. This is over advertisement for Dropbox, but so yeah, that's why I find this to be a remarkable platform. I look forward to coming in, not just your show, just to be part of. Dropbox is this. It's an ambiguous place. It's unpredictable. You can't really predict what you're going to see next. You may see some deep-seated lecture on quantum electrodynamics. Next day, it's some guy, some surrealistic painting, or a guy with a unicorn hat with a music video. So it's a sort of paradigm shift in visual entertainment.
We need that.
Yeah, it could go in any direction. That's why you could walk into Dropbox and watch your ideas germinate to fruition. Just watch it materialize. I think the co-founders does a great job by kind of synergizing what you have intrinsically and sort of manifesting that externally and bringing that to life. It brings your imagination. Dropbox brings a creative person's imagination to life. And it does it in a sort of raw, organic way. Not in a over-professional, it's not in a professional, over-commercialized way. Because when something is over-professional, over-commercialized,
Yeah, absolutely.
there's a high level of inauthenticity to it, right? So it's sort of natural, it's raw, it's organic, and it's also professional, but it's to a level where it kind of really...
It does say something about yourself. This trail that you leave of ideas and
Enigma.
thoughts, that is
Conundrum.
telling in its own way.
Yeah, because we are sort of in a situational irony because there is not to crack. This is who I am, my authentic self. There's nothing beyond this point. I can transcend into different dimensions. Yo, you only have freaking joke I'm about to kill my blood clot Jamaica, you know. Me go suck your bumbo clot mama. You talk to a bumbo clot Jamaican like that. Me don't want to hear you go suck your mama. I am from Zimbabwe. Sakpase, Zabule, I'm Hitchat. You want to talk to me? You want to talk to me? You want to go back to Africa with me? In Trinidad and Tobago, we are potong dog and we are vagrant. Trinidad and Tobago. My madre from the Dominican Republic, my padre from Puerto Rico. Ha tenido pulmonía florecida o otro infección del pulmón. Hi, my name is Benny. I'm from San Francisco. Hey! It's less about character and more about transitioning into different dimensions. Do you understand that?
I do. Each of those things you pulled, though, for that example,
Yes.
says a little bit about something about you, though.
I believe so. It says that I can be what... You know, in Zimbabwe, we did not have a lot of utensils.
Is this how they talk in Zimbabwe? I haven't been.
We had to go in the back and we had to dig holes and we had to dupe in the holes.
Is Zimbabwe underwater? It sounds kind of like
It's
maybe.
kind of, yes, we are. In Zimbabwe, we live underwater in a boat. And the boat is
Submarine.
in a submarine, yes.
A yellow submarine?
A yellow submarine.
You all live in a yellow submarine.
A yellow submarine in a boat, in a submarine under the ocean.
Well, do you understand the irony in that even if you try to keep things, you say I'm not going to crack you, even if, you know, I don't crack you or, you know, you're trying to discover things about yourself, people watching this will make assumptions about you and will draw their own conclusions.
There's nothing to crack. I am not into people as I don't sit and discuss people. I discuss ideas and concepts. So there's nothing to crack.
But who comes up with ideas and concepts?
Well,
Individuals,
well,
people.
You want to discuss the algorithm I'm building? I mean, that's...
Yeah, let's hear about the algorithm.
That's interesting. These are the things I discuss. I don't sit here and discuss movies or sports or what actor did. I don't have an interest in that. I just